What's up, Internet? We are here with my new PlayStation Classic I got at a Goodwill for about a quarter of the price they were normally going for. Though I've also heard people just giving them away for free, so I still feel kind of cheated. I've been playing this a little bit because, and I've said this a few times, I'm pretty PlayStation illiterate. I had a Sega Saturn and an N64 at the time, and I missed out on all the good RPGs. So this actually has a great deal of value to me. And I've been playing it, and my overall thoughts are, well, it's a bit crap, isn't it? But, let's take a look. Okay, so you got Battle Arena Toshinden. How many people actually care about this game? Cool Borders? That must appeal to someone. Destruction Derby, which I thought was kind of an okay subpar thing. We got the thing everyone probably cares about, Final Fantasy VII. And if I may, once again, make myself the entire pariah of the internet, I really dislike Final Fantasy VII. In fact, I think it is the embodiment of everything wrong with modern Final Fantasies. So, yeah, I don't care so much for this one. The original Grand Theft Auto, which was not very good even for its time. The series didn't really kick off until the third game, but even then the second one was a massive improvement over this. Intelligent Cube. This game's actually genuinely very rare, but you can get a Japanese copy for basically nothing like I do. Jumping Flash, which is what we're going to play today. Not gonna lie, this is actually the reason why I wanted a PlayStation Classic, because I really was excited about Jumping Flash, which is probably the most obscure game on here. But this was a very old PlayStation game. It came in a long box. I really want to get that because I am crazy for those long box games. Reminds me of the Saturn long boxes that were like all plexiglass. I love those. Metal Gear Solid. A lot of people really love this game. I cannot stand the fact that you can't aim in this game. Also, people don't have faces and it bugs me, and I've got the GameCube version where you can aim and people look like people, so I'll just stick to that version. Thank you. Mr. Driller. I've never been a big Mr. Driller fan, and I own this physically, but yeah. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. I've always had a fascination with the Oddworld series, but I've never really gotten a chance to play it. I played a little bit of this. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Flashback, if somehow more instant deathy. Rayman, which I think is an objectively bad game. It's pretty. That's about it. Someday I'm going to review Rayman, because I've got a lot of things to say about it, but it's not good. Resident Evil Director's Cut, which is ironically still not the definitive version of Resident Evil. The original Japanese Biohazard is, because it had more stuff than even this version, including an extended cutscene that was still cut in this version. Revelations Persona. That's actually genuinely quite interesting to me. I played a bit of this. It is obtuse as hell. It makes me, if nothing else, respect where Persona went when it moved on to the second game, because that's a really, really good game. This game, it's a bit of a struggle. It's a bit oofy. Ridge Racer Type 4. I played a bit of this. This isn't bad, but it's not my kind of game. I don't like track-based racing games. I do love Puzzle Fighter. I'm awful at puzzle games, though, but this is genuinely good. Never had any interest in Siphon Filter. Tekken is weird. I remember specifically playing this at someone's house when I was a kid, specifically the beach volleyball mode. But, well, I'll explain why this is a bit of an issue, but I've never had really all that much of an issue with Tekken, but Tekken on this thing is not fun to play. Rainbow Six... No. People like Twisted Metal. I don't particularly care for Twisted Metal. If I want to play Twisted Metal on the PlayStation, I will play Rogue Trip, which is Twisted Metal meets Crazy Taxi. And I'm sure it's not as good as I remember it being, but I remember that game actually being genuinely awesome. I've only ever played like 5 original PlayStation games back in the day, but that one was like the one that won. And Wild Arms, this game's amazing. Final Fantasy VII can suck it. This is the best RPG on the system. In my opinion, but again, I'm PlayStation illiterate. I really do need to develop more experience with this. But yeah, this whole selection of games is just sort of quizzical. Like, where's Spyro? Where's Crash? Where's any of the million other RPGs this thing got? Like, there's so many things this could have. Its selection is paltry. Its selection is bizarre, and it feels like outside of maybe Final Fantasy VII, if we don't count me, this whole collection of games won't appeal to anyone, and yet it exists in the state. But what's even better? Let's hop into Jumping Flash. It's a game I actually am going to play tonight. I'll throw on my thing because we're gonna swap to a weird perspective in a sec if I don't. But you'll see that says Sony Computer Entertainment of Europe. Yeah. For some reason, and this was part of the issue with Tekken, they used PAL ROMs on here. And this page is kind of interesting because they're talking about how piracy is bad and stuff. But, I mean, through the magic of piracy and a little bit of modding, you can actually make the PlayStation Classic pretty awesome. I'm kind of thinking about it just to do it more than anything, but this thing just feels kind of disrespectful to, like, PlayStation's history. I'm surprised they released it in this state. He frightens children, but he wears lots of Hawaiian shirts, so he's cool. Universal City Hall, by the way. I don't know how there's a city of the universe, but sure. So this is Jumping Flash. I'm not familiar with this game, but I really want to get into it. I actually have the third game in the series, because there were 3 of these. And the third game was a Pocket Station game, so of course I own it. That's the extent I actually own PlayStation stuff. It's just Pocket Station stuff. But this is a first-person platformer. I know that much. And, like I said, it was a long box game, so I've got a huge amount of interest in it. And in addition to just wanting to play this game, Jetwolf needs some footage of this anyway, so I figured, yeah, I'll just spend a night and record some Jumping Flash. Okay, so it's X to jump. Okay, that's actually really cool. That solves a problem. You can multi-jump up to, it looks like 3 times. But as you jump, it'll actually angle the camera down automatically. I like that. That actually solves a big issue with first-person platforming, which is figuring out where you are spatially. Okay, this game certainly could use a second stick. I'm not gonna lie. This game kind of has tanky controls. Is there a strafe button? Okay, well, there's manual look if you hold down R1 and R2. Well, there's no strafe. Okay, there's sort of plant yourself so that you can just rotate on spot, but it's not quite the same as having a proper strafe. Ooh, we got a thing. Roman candle. Okay. Okay, so jump is that, square is that. O is that, I guess. I think that utilized the item in our inventory. I will say I don't like this GUI. Because the fact is there's so much going on with it, and it's honestly distracting. I do appreciate that they're giving us a crap ton of time, though. We got like 10 minutes to figure this nonsense out. Triangle seems to do nothing. We've got a Sonic the Hedgehog ring over here. What do we got over here? Bonus stage. Right on. I guess we have to pop balloons. Or maybe collect them without popping them, in which case I've already broken this stage. Whoops. But, you know, so far it seems to be okay. Like, I do appreciate that it does have that auto, like, downward look thing. Like, in a modern game, you'd have to have manual control over that, obviously, but the fact that it does that auto, once again, gives you an idea of where you are spatially, especially since you can see your shadow. Now, the fact that that doesn't kick in unless you're either falling or you've activated a second jump is a little weird. Like, I would think if I... Well, we're on a time limit, I assume. Yeah, we got 18 seconds. Hold on. But I would assume, like, after your first jump, it would start automatically tracking. But it doesn't. That's one jump. But nothing. Okay. Also, it seems like there's a bit of a timing on your third jump. Like, you can't hold it forever. But yeah, this is a PAL PlayStation game, which means that it's gonna run... it's designed to run at 50 Hertz, as opposed to an NTSC one, which runs at 60 Hertz. And basically what that means is it's going to play slow and really inconsistently. Which, you know, for Tekken, that's a fighting game. And while I will disagree with, like, the Evo purists and stuff about lots of things, especially including accessibility for, like, controls and stuff, yeah, for fighting games you do need a consistent and solidly built frame rate. That this game will actually slow down on here, as will Tekken and lots of other stuff. Like, I think, like, a whole quarter of the games on this roster are the PAL version, and there's no reason for it. Like, they could have gone with the NTSC ones. They actively went out of their way to choose the PAL ROMs, and I have no idea why. That's, aside from the experience, just the sheer quizzical nature of why they did that makes no sense to me. Okay, level 2 is Volcano World. I'm guessing we don't want to step on that lava, so let's avoid that. But, you know, this was the game on the PlayStation Classic that actually made me want a PlayStation Classic. Well, that and Wild Arms, but I already own Wild Arms physically. And digitally. In fact, the only version of original Wild Arms I don't own is the remake, which I've been told is bad, but I love that game, so I kind of want to get it at some point. But, you know, I saw this at a local Goodwill. It was way too much money, but it was a lot cheaper than it was at launch. With the only drawback being it didn't come with a box or anything. And the fact is, I do like these mini consoles, if only for the reason they make me feel like a giant. if my very long legs didn't already do that. But I have the NES Classic, I have the Super Nintendo Classic. I was in the front line to get that thing, but you know, I do like these mini classic consoles. But I have to say, this one is just disappointing. Like, I can make complaints about the Super Nintendo Classic and the NES Classic as well. Like, the Super Nintendo Classic, for whatever reason, has 2 Kirby games, but for whatever reason, they decided to go with Kirby Golf instead of Kirby Dream Land 3, which is an awesome game that no one played, because it came out so bloody late. And that game's awesome, and just not on there. Okay, boss fight time. Oh, we have items. Let's... Oh, I've got a killer laser? Let's killer laser this guy. Okay, that's hard to aim while you fly. I wonder if I can jump on you. Is that all that effective? Not really. Whoa, okay. I can keep shooting you, too. I'm thinking the best way to deal with this boss is try and get above him and just hammer the shots. Because you can just do this. I think I've found the strategy to defeat bosses. Just step on them and keep shooting. And that'll take care of it. But I do have a fascination with this series. I'd like to own it physically. Like I said, I do own the weird third game that no one else owns. Because it never came out here because it was a Pocket Station game. And that was different. But, you know, it's an interesting series and I do quite like it. And, you know, I could see a lot of people complaining about this being on the PlayStation Classic because it really is... I think it's iconic because it's an early game, but... Wow, they are just repeating that animation over and over and over. This is like the half-second animation we're just repeating. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so, like... I think this would be a classic for the system, like... But I don't think it's going to be one of those defining things that would make anyone want this thing. Just because, you know, it's an important part of the history, but is it an iconic part of the game? I don't think so. You know. There's a lot of things on the PlayStation Classic that, like the original PSX, that would have made a lot more sense to put on here. You know, once again, the crashes, the spires. You didn't have to limit yourself to 20 ROMs either. They're ROMs. They don't take up a huge amount of space. They're PS1 ROMs. They take up about, I think, 500 megabytes each usually. Last I checked, I do like to have an idea of what like a ROM set would weigh in terms of size. I think the entire ROM set for the PlayStation would be about 4 terabytes, but that's because there are so bloody many of them. But, you know, you didn't have to limit yourself to 20 games. You didn't have to limit yourself to a quarter of them being the European ones for some bizarre reason. And it's just weird that you selected the ones that you did, Sony. Like, well, like I said at the top, like, my thoughts are, it's a bit crap, isn't it? Like, I'm tempted to, like, try and mod this thing out just to make it a less crappy piece of hardware, really. Because for the price that this was selling at like launch, which was like $100, you'd expect to get something that was a bit more premium-ish. Like I've played NES Famicom Pirate multi-carts, or plug-and-play multi-cart type things, that use basically the PlayStation Classic as a body, and it feels like a cheap piece of tat, and so does this. Except those have a lot more games on them, albeit they're not PlayStation games, so they take up less space on a hard drive, but still, you know, they could have done so much more with this thing. It feels underwhelming. Like, I was excited about having this, and the moment I plugged it in and I looked at it, I knew everything that was on here, and I already felt like this was disappointing to me, going into this knowing what it was. So, I don't know. But there's just so many other things they could have done. Like, when they launched this, I believe they used the term preloaded to describe the games on here, which makes it sound like they were having the option of, ooh, I can shoot this wall, downloading games in the future, which would have not only opened up like a revenue model for them, which would have been a good idea, but it would have allowed people to like customize their PlayStation Classic experience. You know, have a few PlayStation games on there for like a couple bucks. Is that a... whoops. You could have really done a lot with this, Sony, and it just feels like you tried to make a cheapest, minimal viable product and just tried to cash in on the whole mini console thing that was going on with the PlayStation, with the NES and Super Famicom. And then the saddest thing is there's actually two versions of this. There's a one that came out in Japan, which I think also was available in Hong Kong and I want to say Taiwan, that has a completely different roster of games, and it's better by like leaps and bounds. It has like the Ark the Lad games on here. It doesn't have like, I think it's lacking like Siphon Filter, but that's fine. You know, I'm sure those matter to someone, not me. That one, like the Japanese version just feels like it's, I don't know if we're invulnerable or just very much on drugs, but either way, everything's rainbowy and weird, and it reminds me a lot of Rise of the Triad all of a sudden. And it's probably going to absolutely murder the bitrate. So that's fun. I do like that for a game that starts out about, you know, jumping in like these huge open environments, it's moving to a very, very like tightly enclosed maze-like area. Like that's inverting expectations right there. That's brilliant. Like, I'm not going to say that this game is amazing, but the fact that they came up with that very early on, like completely dashing your expectations for the levels that they've already established, that's quite clever. You know? I could see myself playing more of this. I could see myself having an interest in this series. I mean, I do have an interest in this series. There's a reason why I bought the weird Japanese one and a Pocket Station, but, you know, I think they've done some pretty good stuff here. This is my first real time playing it. I've tested out like the first level once before just to see if this thing actually worked, but you know, I have to admit, I think that the people who made this, they made a good thing and they did some clever stuff with it. And it certainly feels like a product of its time, as does most, you know, early PlayStation stuff, but you know, I think it's pretty fun. I've seen worse platformers on the original PlayStation, like Floating Runner is pretty awful. This is actually like, you know, it's definitely part of that gaming puberty. Everything's weirdly polygonal and it's gonna look awful in terms of how aged it looks, but you know, I'm kind of impressed with Jumping Flash so far. I think I saw someone play Jumping Flash 2 about a decade ago on Justin TV. And I think that's how I first learned of Jumping Flash. That's also where I learned of Rising Zan Samurai Gunman, which was a PlayStation favorite of mine. Also not on here. And it was where the idea of, you know, the Devil May Cry style game actually came from. A lot of people like to say Devil May Cry was the progenitor of it. No, it was Rising Zan. That was where Spectacle Brawling actually came from. Just no one ever played it. And it's a shame because it's cheesy and great. Not on this thing. Trog, where's Trog? Trog's not on here. Trog should be. Oh my god, I'm doing Halloween streams and I haven't done Trog. Or Parasite Eve. Also, side note, the Japanese version actually does have Parasite Eve on it. The fact that we don't get Parasite Eve is just freaking tragedy. You know, like I said, I don't have the biggest experience with the PlayStation library, but I will say that I think most of my favorites on it so far are from that weird time where Square was being like super experimentative and not making Final Fantasy, and then they just made Final Fantasy VII, and then they just kept riding that train forever. Like, well, we're making Final Fantasy, and that's what our company's known for. It's like, yeah, that's what it was for a while too, but you know, you still experimented every now and then. You still made some stuff that wasn't just Final Fantasy. And then, of course, they ate their competition in Enix, and then they had no real drive to actually make something competitive, because why? They've already got the biggest RPG competitor with them. And so now they kind of have to fight with, like, Atlas, I guess? I don't know. Was there really a bigger MMO competitor than Enix? Who knows? All I know is, you know... And maybe this is just my opinion, but it always felt like Square was always competing with Enix. And then the moment that, you know, Square ate Enix, or however that worked, it's a merger, so who knows, but, like, you know, when they merged, they lost all competition with one another. And from that point on, like, we just lost pretty much all quality control over all mainstream RPGs. Okay, that was actually close. I like to thank the magic pixel of health I have still, because I have no idea how I survived that. But yeah, the PlayStation Classic, it's a bit crap. Even as someone who actually has a desire to, like, play these and, like, actually, like, get into the PlayStation history, it's... Are these supposed to be, like, the big planetary things? Because they look like they're, like, mini versions of them and not the big planetoid carrier things. Because these things are clearly giant robots. But those were not. So, who knows? Either way, World 3! But you know what? I'm having fun with this.
Ready to go?
Oh. Okay, so World 1 was sort of grassland, although it had fireland elements. This one is chess, it looks like? Welcome, Aloha. Also, we got twisters, which are these awful things. These are awful, and I'm just going to get rid of them because they're not very good. I think the ones that we liked were the Roman candles. I think that was the big angry laser that just did a lot of stuff. Oh, we got some HP, nice. But, Ape Escape! Where the hell's Ape Escape? That would be awesome. I really want to try the Ape Escape series. Can't do it here, apparently. Also, seriously, what happened to the Ape Escape series? We need more of those games. They looked awesome. There were some really cool looking, like, PlayStation 2 exclusive Japanese games that I'd like to play at some point as well. Although I just straight up like to play any Ape Escape. This game desperately needs, like, a strafe button mapped to the shoulders. But it does not. But I mean, so far that's really the only complaint I have. Then maybe turn off, like, the timing on the third jump so you can just triple jump wherever, but I guess that would kind of... Whoop, not gonna make that jump. Yeah, it's like there's... You kind of have to almost use your triple jump immediately. Like, you can hold it for a sec, but... If you hold it, there's a good chance that you, like, lose the window to actually use it. Which is not ideal. Also, I think I'm sliding on this, so, like, you can use this for a platform for a second, but not much longer. Okay. I'm honestly kind of surprised that the platforming feels as good as it does for the time. Like, first-person platforming is always awkward. I had this issue with, what was it, Mirror's Edge. And, like, Half-Life had this issue as well, where it's like, it had weird platformy segments that just didn't feel right, because First-person platforming rarely ever really works. And yet, for a very early PlayStation title, this actually works really well. I'll hold on to rockets. I think the Roman candles are the ones we want, but I will hold that. Okay, so I'm not seeing any more indicators for carrots around, which is annoying. I will say, if they could just have the indicators permanently on, because it's a draw distance thing, of course. But if they could at least permanently have these on, even if you couldn't see where you were going, that would be nice. Okay, I need to double jump just to see where I'm going. So where is the last one of these things that we need to get? I'm not seeing... Ow! Okay, we can't stand there for much longer, evidently. Oh, there's something over here. Aha! I found it. Alright, cool. But you know, I'm honestly impressed with this game. I will say, this was the thing that I was pretty much the only thing that made me excited about the PlayStation Classic. And, you know, it's not hurting my feelings. It's actually been quite fun. I am noticing, like, some slowdown here and there, but it's not too bad. But it does feel a little bit inconsistent. That's the issue. Still, you know, I'd be interested in modding this thing out and just seeing what I can do with it. Just because I can, really. I mean, I basically already have the Odin for all the recording stuff I need for up to, like, Dreamcast, so it's not like I even need to play PlayStation stuff. I need to get footage for it, but, you know, I think it'd be fun to just use this for this. But I still just think that, like, the state Sony released this in just feels like basically a mockery. Whoa, okay, that's... okay. Feels like a mockery to their own history. But, I mean, we're talking about the same company whose, whatever position he had, didn't understand that people would want to play retro games ever. Okay, we're moving at the same speed as that. That's actually not going to help us get anywhere. Okay, so we got a time... okay, so we got the jet pod. Where's the next one? There it is. And it's like, well, as an archivist, I'd very... oh, crap, they 180 you the moment you hit that. Like, you automatically face the other way. That's a little awkward. As an archivist, I have a lot of interest in gaming's history and preservation, so I'd very much like to play those old games. It's sad to think that, like, PSN's, like, store is gonna go down. And it is gonna go down. Like, don't get me wrong. They may have said it's up, but, like, their goal now is to basically just make it as obtuse and annoying to try and buy anything off there as they possibly can, so that when they take it down, no one's going to complain. That's what they're doing. And to be fair, they don't actually have to do anything to do that, because their infrastructure for it's so bad that it just kind of degrades. Like, right now, if you want something on PSN, you have to, like, buy a gift card and then, like, put it on an account on a much more recent system. And even then, actually buying a game for the PS3 is not impossible, but you have to know exactly what the name is. Because if you don't, you can't actually search things, because the search doesn't actually show up everything. Like, I tried to find a specific thing using, like, the built-in search functions. Just, like, search game by name, and it's like, if... I'm just going to throw numbers out here just for the sake of making my point, but, like, if a game... If a single letter of, like, the PlayStation library, like, let's just say letter S. Let's say the PlayStation had 400 games that start with the letter S. If you look up letter S on, like, PSN, you'll get maybe 40 results. Those games are, for the most part, still available. They just, for whatever reason, are no longer listed, unless you actively search by the full name of the game and spelling. And if you get any of that wrong, you're just never going to find it. And it's weird. Are we fighting coffee? I think we're fighting coffee. Oh god, it's a coffee clown. I don't like clowns, and I don't particularly care for coffee, so that's not so good. What a weird boss. Okay, so you can't actually attack the cups. You have to attack the clown inside. This reminds me of one of those, like, characters from one of those, like, Mind's Eye films. You know what I'm talking about? I grew up in Canada. And, you know, instead of ads on children's shows, occasionally we'd get, like, snippets from this, like, weird, like, art. I'm not even sure what to describe it as. It was basically like a art installation of, like, CGI art pieces known as, like, Mind's Eye. You can find them all on YouTube, and they're great. But it was just basically music videos to weird CGI nonsense. They even used some of the stuff in the Lawnmower Man movie. With the Irish James Bond as one of the main characters. Oh, hey, you're now a big super coffee clown, except you're doing nothing, so I'll just keep doing that. There we go. But yeah, he looks like one of the characters from one of those Mind's Eye films. I gotta go watch those again. Those are great. Really surrealist stuff. And that's just what we kids got instead of ads sometimes on children's programming, which is cool. Because we got to see some, like, really bizarrely trippy nonsense. And we basically got a dissertation on CGI art and music theory. It's interesting. I should see if I can find those DVDs. What are these cutscenes? Like, they're just... They don't say anything. Like, okay, the characters are saying stuff, but they don't say anything meaningful, anyway. And they just keep looping, like, the same half-second footage. Okay, World 4, let's go. Whatever those cutscenes are about, I'm at least enjoying this.
Ready to go?
Oh god, there's ice physics. Well... If I've learned anything about ice physics in games, it's that you turn that off by jumping. And since this is a platformer, I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of that anyway. Oh god. Oh no. Oh boy. Where is anything right now? Okay, I don't think... Okay, so this actually does not have ice physics, so it's not actually an all-encompassing thing in the level. It's actually tied to the platform composition. That's actually surprisingly advanced. I'm impressed. Oh, there's something to our left. I want that instead of... Oh god, we have to climb an ice staircase. Okay, well, I'm up for a challenge. Let's do it. It's truly the Dark Souls of first-person platforming staircases. Okay. So we gotta jump up there. Whoa! Okay, I did not put in any input. I just landed and, like, my character just slid sideways for some reason. Holy crap. Okay, so rotating in place, this game actually does take into account the footfalls of your character. So if you rotate, like I'm standing, rotating will actually, like, move your character's feet, and you will actually slide based on that. That's actually... I mean, I'm going to be open with you. That's annoying, but impressive that they took that into account. Like, that's a sense of physical realism, I suppose, that I was not expecting in this weird rabbit robot jumpy thing. Where's the exit? Aww. Hello, Baron Aloha, snowman. Okay, so where are we going in all of this? Because I'm not seeing an exit. I don't want twisters. Go away. Oh! No, I wanted to keep that. I wanted to get rid of my most recent thing. Okay, so that's rockets. And then twisters are these horrible little things that I hate. So they do nothing and they're awkward to aim. And now we're playing bumper cars, because why not? I have no idea where I'm going right now. Cherry bomb! Kaboom! That's actually quite useful. Okay, but where's the exit? I'm seeing like a big blue square on my radar that's going right that way, but I think that's just the indicator for north. Okay. How do I get out? Let's try going on that mountain, and we'll see if we can find the exit point, because I'm not seeing it. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not seeing the exit at any point. Is this the point where I have to, like, press start and pray this game comes with a built-in map? Because these environments aren't huge. I feel like this shouldn't be this hard to find. Okay, I'm just gonna keep climbing and hope. We haven't been this way, I don't think, so... There it is. Okay, so it's just in a really weird, awkward place that you wouldn't be able to see. I'm okay with it being in a weird place, but... it being in a place that you wouldn't really see, that's a little bit awkward. Alright, let's go on to stage 2. It looks like a sunken ship. Oh, I'm excited about this. I like sunken ships. Those are always fun to explore.
Ready to go?
Oh, we're in a cave! So we're doing more like first-person, close-range stuff. Completely taking away our movement options. Oh, I like that. I do quite like that.
Free time.
Time stop! Okay, I'm guessing those glowing squares are the jet pod carrot thingamabobs we need. Oh, I can go in? Elevators. We've got multi-level nonsense. Oh, we're underwater? Okay, this is the best level ever. This level's great. Oh, this is cool. Okay, I'm guessing we don't want to be down there, because I didn't see any other access to stuff around there, so we'll just keep going, I guess. So let's throw this around. It's all good. Avoid the TVs! Grab the time stop. Oh, time extension. Either way, time is going to be manipulated, because we are the god of time in the body of a rabbit robot. Alright. It doesn't look like there's anything else around here. Maybe we have to go down there in order to find the next route, because it looks like... Okay, we got Roman candles. Those are the ones we like. Carrots. Is there another path we missed, or is it all... Okay, there's something above us. I guess we do have to go down here. Okay. Got a time extension. That sound effect, that cuckoo clock sound effect, that's a stock sound. Gex uses it. I know it. Oh, we got stuff down here.
Free time.
Time stop. Okay, but how do I get to that place? Oh, maybe in here. Sure, I guess. If you want to have a path that can get me there, fine, game. Be that way. Alright, is there anything else around here? Doesn't look like it. Ah, I was hoping to get rid of those twisters. Twisters are the worst. Like, what's that bouncy bear thing at the center of the screen? Like, I think its teeth light up when you get the jet pods, I think, but really all that is just an extra thing to distract you. I don't know, I feel like this UI could be cleaned up significantly. But that's, like, the biggest issue I have with this game so far. Oh, I got a 1-up. Nice. Okay, so our next one is going to be the Roman candle. We want to hold on to that for presumably bosses. Hooray for coins that are, as far as I can tell, useless. Ah, go away, little bug. You're tiny and I can't hit you very easily. Oh, we're in the little tunnel now. Yeah. Now hit it with a super bomb. And then the whole thing will shatter, and then we'll lament that we don't have the gravity suit. What? Okay. Well, there's the exit, but where's the... Uh-huh. I get that that's the exit, and I get that I don't have the jet pods. Thanks, game. Okay, well, there's one of them. Great, so where's the other one? It's gonna be one of those things where it was somewhere obvious and I just walked past it. Like a complete moron. Yeah, to rotate in place, he kind of sort of walks forward slightly. Okay, so there's a ceiling there. So we gotta backtrack a little. Fair enough. Okay. Didn't we get the jet pod on the boat? What? Did we somehow lose it? Okay, well, whatever. Let's go get it. Go away, you silly bug. Okay, I think the way we need to go is this way. But yeah, I'm having fun with this. I think it's fun. Like, this is the thing I wanted to play on my PlayStation Classic, and, well, basically everything about this thing, at least the way that Sony made it, is depressing as hell. You know, at least this game is kind of fun. And that's kind of all I wanted out of it. Okay, so hopefully this will take us to the thing we need. Okay, I swear we picked that up, but sure. Back to the exit. It's very nice of them to let the timer not progress while you're sitting there in the elevator. Oh, I never picked it up? Oh, I swear I did. I'll take your word on that. I am scatterbrained like that. I just walked in a circle, didn't I? Well, things be like that sometimes. Hooray for being scatterbrained. Okay, well, fortunately we don't have any Roman candles, so we can just go item spammy and not feel bad about it, really. Okay, now I'll feel bad if I have to use items. So, let's... time extension. And now the next one we use is actually going to be the weapon I want to hold on to. It'd be nice if there was a way to cycle weapons. So that I could just say, yes, I want to hold on to the big fancy laser for lasering purposes, but this game just says, nope, that's just the one you're going to use. Okay, this is where we need to go. Fortunately, I landed right next to it. Yeah, fair enough. It won't be the first time. I've almost picked something up and just missed horribly. Or at least I can land on the exit platform like a pro. But, like, I just don't understand this thing in the state it exists in. Like, why limit yourself to 20 games? And also, why pick the games you did? And also, why are, like, a quarter of them the PAL versions? It makes no sense, and there's no sensible reason for them to have made that choice. They just did it because reasons. Okay, actually, I'm taking damage. What? We'll be okay. Whoa. Just gonna avoid those. It's fine. It's good. We're okay. No problem. Okay, I'm not sure how to deal with that. Whoa, okay, so you still take damage while you're in your shell. That defeats some conventions I'm familiar with, but that works out well for me. Which means I have to keep jumping on you. We're fine. Okay. And why is there a version of this console that has a significantly better roster of games? Like, why do that? There's just so many things about the way Sony built this thing that's just absolutely quizzical. Oh, I imagine everyone hated that. I mean, I hate that. Why? Why use PAL ROMs? It makes no sense. It's not like something's forcing you to do that, or like it's any extra effort to find the NTSC ones. And the end result is a much better experience. Okay, I swear to God, it's the same cutscene every time. They just change where the camera's placed. Ugh. But seriously, like, this thing in the state Sony released it in, it feels like the definition of a minimum viable product. They saw that, you know, the Super Nintendo sold well, the NES sold well, so let's just do it with Sony games. Except you didn't actually include any of the ones that people would want. Except for maybe Final Fantasy VII, but, I mean, again, that does nothing for me. Although you did have Wild Arms, so fair enough, I guess. And this, but, like, everything about this feels half-assed and just here to chase a trend. Which is why I'm not terribly offended about trying to mod this thing out to actually be not this crappy. Not that I even really need to. Again, I've got the Odin, I can do that if I want, but I really just want to make this thing not a horrible piece of cheap tat. But like I've said, I've got, like, Famicom plug-in plays that use the shell of these things that feel like they're less pieces of cheap shit than what Sony actually put out. And that's saying a lot. Because, I mean, we all know how much, you know, Chinese pirators actually, like, put thought and effort into their stuff. I mean, half the time they can't spell their games' names right, or even get the names to correspond with the games they mean. But I mean, at least they can usually give you more than 20 games. Although I will say they are also inconsistent with which regions they'll give you. But to be fair, that's a amateur hour pirate gamer type of thing right there. Sony's better than that, or at least you'd think they would be. Although evidently they aren't. So yeah, after this I guess I might be trying to mod my PS2 or PS Classic out to actually be not horrible. Just because I can. I don't even need to. I just decide to. Mostly to stick it to Sony. Is there anything up here? No, but there's a platform over there. I don't know what that rainbow mode does. I'm gonna assume invulnerability, but really all it does is probably kill the bitrate and also make it hard to see what I'm doing. Okay, so we gotta recollect these things. Fun. Okay, so... Oh no, my Digimon's beeping at me. I think you probably need to go to bed. But I'm playing Jumping Flash. Well, I got a few seconds to get this jet pod. And... Nope, she just needed to go to the bathroom. So there she goes. Digimon LCD toys. More quality experience than the PlayStation Classic. I've gotten really into Digimon lately. I mean, I never thought I'd go and buy one of the virtual pets or anything, but I did. Poop. PlayStation Classic. It could have had Digimon RPGs on it. Doesn't. At least not the way Sony set it up. But I mean, Sony clearly didn't care about the product they were making in the first place. They just wanted a cheap tie-in. To try and chase a trend. Which is not a good way to endear yourself to your fans that are, you know, trying to show their love for the system and your entire library and the history of your company. Instead, you know, you should take care in what you do and respect what you did. Oh, you've been playing the second Cyber Sleuth? Nice! I've actually been playing the first one. Again, I haven't played the second one yet. I've got it digitally. I'm meaning to, but I'm thinking about reviewing the first Cyber Sleuth because it's got some issues, but I do quite like it. Although I am pissed off about something I just found out about, like how that game handles DLC, which is bad. But for the most part, Cyber Sleuth, it's good. I had a lot more fun with it than, what is it, New World Order or whatever? That game I found to be really convoluted in how it played. But I'm not super well versed in the Digimon games. Like, I didn't have a PlayStation back in the day. That's part of the reason why I'm so excited I got one of these and immediately disappointed by it. But, I played the fourth game in the Digimon World series, which is a really peculiar game, because Digimon World was, of course, an RPG series. Digimon World 4, for whatever reason, was a hack-and-slash knockoff Diablo. Oh, I see what you've done, game. Bet you think you're real clever. And then I played Dawn and Dusk on the DS, and those games are really quite good from what I remember. I'd like to play them again, but someone stole my copy. And then I kind of just didn't play any of them until Cyber Sleuth 2 came out. And then I played the first one and New World Order. And now I'm just sort of getting back into it. To the point where I went and bought a Vital Bracelet and a Digital Monster Virtual Pet that I've had for about a week and I'm having a lot of fun with. But Digimon, it's good times. Hey, Sykes. Yeah, we don't talk about 4. That's the response I get from basically everyone who I bring up Digimon World 4 to. It's like, for the longest time, it was the only Digimon game I knew, and I remember kinda liking it. Like, I don't remember it being fantastic or anything, but I remember it being like a fun way to kill a weekend. Oh, I see what I gotta do. Okay. Well, let's do it. But yeah, Digimon World 4 is weird and inconsistent with this series. Like, the thing that I find baffling about Digimon World 4 is, again, it's a hacky-slashy thing and not an RPG, but it felt the need to take the Digimon World name. Why, though? Like, that's gonna benefit no one, because you'd name it after the series that you want to adhere fans to, but if your game's gonna play nothing like those games, all you're gonna do is make those fans angry. So that is a choice that made no sense to me. Yep, that's the one I've played. That's the one I'm talking about. For some reason, they made a Digimon game stylized after Diablo, but they used the name of the RPG series. And it's like, okay, if you want to make Digimon Diablo, I don't have any problem with that. Do it. It'd be great. People will love it, provided you put the effort in. But why use the name of the RPG series? Because that's going to benefit no one in the long run. Like, just make a different Digimon name title for your action hacky-slashy thing. I mean, you already did it when you made the Digimon Story series along with the Digimon World series. Like, you can just make a different series name to tell people it's going to be a different kind of game, and then people just be fine with it. But the fact that you're using a series name of something established and then nothing like that, it's probably just going to piss people off. Yeah, like, I mean, it makes no logical sense to do that. You know? Like, I cannot understand why. Yeah, it really wasn't a fantastic game. I remember it having a lot of, like, backtracking and having to do the same level over and over to build stats or whatever.
Ready to go?
Ah. That's fine. It was a weird game. I really want to get more into, like, the Digimon games, because I really only have, like, experience with 3 of them proper. But I'm going to start by possibly reviewing Cyber Sleuth in the future, since I've already got a playthrough and a half kind of done. I've been halfway tempted to try and review the LCD Virtual Pet too, but I'm not sure I'd even technically count that as a video game, so I'm not sure it'd even fit on my YouTube channel. I don't know, though. I've been having a lot of fun with it. But then thinking about that, I do have the Game Boy Tamagotchi game, and I've been meaning to review that forever because, oh my god, I've got history with that game. That game, I've got words, and I'm gonna have to spew them at some point at someone about that game. But yeah, I don't know. I'd kind of like to do some Digimon games. Doesn't help that the discs of most of the Digimon games are actually really hard to find, though, unless we're talking about like the super modern ones or like Digimon World 4, which no one wants. But like, if you want the actual like Digimon World games, like those are really expensive now. Ah, didn't jump at the right time, so it ate my third jump.
Get ready.
I did that twice! I'd very much like to. The trick, though, is I'd very much like to... Well, if I'm going to make videos on them, I have to physically own them. That's a rule I've set for myself. I do record everything through emulation just because it looks and sounds better that way through HDMI, but I do want to actually physically own stuff. Just, you know, do things right. I'm not a big fan of pirating stuff. Unless it's like something that needs to be done, like MAME stuff, because you can't really do arcade stuff completely without MAME. I've heard good things about Digimon World 3. I've also heard that the first one's pretty rough. I don't know, my entire experience is World 4, Cyber Sleuth, and Dusk. Which I might actually be able to make a video on. I do kind of have a way of recording DS footage, sort of. The Odin will sort of do it. It's just, it does it in a very weird way. But I guess it's the only way you can do DS stuff, really. And that's just like, it plops the bottom screen next to the top screen and just, you kind of have to live with it. I don't know, I've never actually tried to record DS stuff yet. That's something I've been meaning to do. But, you know. Whoa, let's not step on that. Unfortunately, that's probably why I'll never get to actually review Panzer Dragoon Saga. Most wanted game of all time. It's also a freaking grand. Thanks, bird. Okay, so we gotta get over there somehow. Not sure how, but we'll make it work. The nice thing is a lot of, like, rare Saturn games are getting reproduced nowadays. It's just a shame that PDS can't. Not in any official sense, anyway. You could kind of, like, remake it, sort of, but it wouldn't be the same. The entire source code's gone. That game needs a lot more, well, it needed a lot more respect when it came out, because if it did, it would have actually made more copies. I've heard something like they only ever pressed, like, 20,000 copies in the West. Which is sad, because, of course, it means that I'll probably never get it. At least, well, you can kind of order, like, reproductions on Etsy and stuff, but Saturn stuff, in order to run reproduction stuff, you have to basically mod out your Saturn, and the Saturn's already a ridiculously delicate piece of equipment. I have clumsy hands. I can't do modding of any sort of real sense. I mean, I tried to fix the disc laser in all 4 of my Dreamcasts and permanently broke all of them, so, you know. I'd prefer not to mod anything outside of my N64 and, like, Super Nintendo, which are idiot-proof mods, really. There's the exit. Seriously, modding an N64, ridiculously easy to do. Kind of redundant now that I've got a multi-cart that has everything on it, but modding an N64 is stupid easy. I don't mind if it's complete, but if it's a disc, I'd like it to have some form of, like, protective case around it, just because safety for boxes, or safety for the discs. But I don't really care if something's boxed or complete or anything like that. I just worry about, like, the actual protection of the discs for disc-based stuff. But most, like, the cartridge stuff I don't have complete, it's just loose. And I'm fine with that, really. That said, you know, 20-30 USD. you have to understand, I'm from Canada, so that's already like $40–50 for me on top of shipping, and shipping from the States is now like, for a disc that weighs nothing, for some reason, $50. Actually, you know, speaking of my ineptitude and illiteracy with the PlayStation, I was looking into a PlayStation game I really wanted to get called Overblood 2. And I was just looking at the different options for, like, versions I could get. And it was never officially released in North America or anything, so it would have to either be, like, a Japanese or PAL copy, and I'd have to play it on emulator. But one copy was, like, $20, but to ship it, and bear in mind this is a PlayStation disc, it was $500 for some reason. And getting games is so bloody hard nowadays. Like, shipping is just ridiculous. It doesn't help that, like, the Canadian dollar's worth basically nothing to begin with, but, you know, I only have one place in my entire town that deals in retro games. It's like a wargaming shop that has, like, a tiny shelf of retro games. So, it's like, I just have very few ways of actually playing games nowadays. At least, like, without spending an insane sum of money. And seeing as, you know, I'm someone who makes videos on YouTube for a living and I only make about $20 a month, it's a hard thing for me to do. The N64 is actually a ridiculously easy mod. Like, if you look at an N64 cart, regardless of what region it's in, you'll notice that, like, the back of the cartridge, it has, like, these little slots on the back, and those slots correspond to pegs in the cartridge slot. That's the only region lockout there is. So if you just whittle down those, like, pegs in your cartridge slot, you can play any region's games perfectly fine. Well, PAL games don't work because PAL games are weird, but again, it's kind of for the same reason stuff plays really weak here. This is the villain, by the way. He wears a Hawaiian shirt. That's how you know he's the villain. It's nice that we're finally getting a cutscene that's not the same cutscene over and over again. Alright, this is the final world.
Ready to go?
We're actually in a world in space now. That's cool. This actually reminds me of that one Monster Rancher game I have. The weird pogo stick racing game. Which I actually have to record something of tonight. So hooray! Monster Rancher pogo sticking. It's such a weird game. Okay, so the jet pod's over there. But yeah, modding out an N64 is ridiculously easy. Any idiot can do it. I mean, I did it, and I have hands that don't work properly, so... You know. That said, for the price of way too much money, I think I paid like $60. I got a N64 multi-cart that just has everything on it anyway. And you can play like homebrew games and like fan-modded games, so you can play Banjo-Kazooie in Pokemon Snap, which I played once. That game was actually really fun. For some reason, there's a really, like, I don't want to say big scene or anything, but there's one person that makes a lot of, like, Banjo-Kazooie, like, modded games, and they're just ridiculously good. But the rest are all, like, Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time. But for whatever reason, those, like, modded games, they're kind of like the, like, Sonic the Hedgehog Mega Drive modded games, where they're impressive and they can be quite good and deep, but for whatever reason, most of them just don't work on the hardware they were designed for. Like, something, I've heard something like 90% of Sonic Mega Drive fan games don't actually work on the Mega Drive. And, you know, likewise, in my experience, most of, like, the Mario and Zelda hacked games don't actually run on an N64, even though that's the hardware it was made for. Which I'm guessing means it just requires, like, some kind of extra juice from a computer to run an emulator to do that sort of thing or something. I say pretending I understand how emulation actually works, even though I use it frequently for recording purposes. And I'm using it right now to play Jumping Flash on a terrible piece of Sony tat. I like looked it up earlier today. It's like Jumping Flash, for whatever reason, is just absurdly expensive now. It's like $100 if you want a copy of Jumping Flash in in English. Japanese stuff is typically very cheap comparatively, but you know, it's like if you want an English copy, it's stupid expensive. And it's surprising because it's like this is like one of the earliest games for the system. It feels very bare bones. It's good and it does some impressive stuff. I like this game. It's the reason why I wanted a PlayStation Classic to begin with, but you know, it's not that great. It's a standard platformer. It's a standard platformer that actually got first-person platforming right, which is a miracle, but still. I don't know. It's the reason why I bought a PlayStation Classic. That's what I can say about it. Oh, it's a Sonic ring. Let's get over there. So are we gonna get more bubbles to pop? This is new. Okay. And now we're in a stage of Q*bert for some reason. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. It'd be nice, again, if there's a way to, like, after one jump, trigger your down-facing view, as opposed to requiring you to double jump. Because this doesn't work quite as well as I would like it to. Also, there's some slowdown. Thanks, Sony, for picking a weird ROM format, because we definitely wanted the PAL version. Oh wait, no, the opposite. No one wanted that, and yet you did it. And that's the value of the cherry bombs, I guess. Okay. Just gonna hopefully get this. Alright. Okay, so we still have to find 2 more pods. There's one. Let's see if I can make this jump. Up. Up. I will say this is a bit of a different game than the third Jumping Flash game. It's the only one I really have perspective for. But, you know, this was also well before the Pocket Station existed, so that's fair. I wonder how popular the Pocket Station actually was. Like, it wasn't in the West, obviously, because they never really released it in the West, although Final Fantasy VIII still has Pocket Station support for some reason. I thought they dummied out that data, but I was corrected on that yesterday. But I like the Pocket Station. It's the smallest PlayStation. And it's kind of like the VMU. And I like the VMU. Okay, so where is this thing? Okay, well, I'm getting shot at. That's not a plus. Jump and a jump and a jump, jump, jump. Got some rockets. Or as they would be known in the States, Smarties. And they're wrong to call them Smarties because Smarties is a different thing. Although to be fair, Smarties are less good things anyway. Smarties are basically just bad M&Ms. There's the jet pod, okay. Here we go. Land here, and go over here. Woo! Hyper jump! Okay, now I think the exit was over there. And I missed my third jump, so we just lost all our jet pods. Okay, that's a bit annoying. I will say, I would prefer to be able to keep the jet pods when you die. That might make the game a little too easy, though. But at the same time, it's kind of like in the original releases of Banjo-Kazooie, when you when you lose all your notes for dying. It's like, yeah, but I'm gonna have to go back and collect all the things that I've already proven I know where they are and have collected. Why would I want to do that again? You know? It's like, I've made this progress, I've proven I can do this, just let me have it. And to be fair, in the remakes to Banjo-Kazooie, they did let you keep that stuff. Because I think even Rare recognized that that was not terribly fun. Although that might have been like a technical limitation. Although I'm pretty sure the second game didn't do it, so... Who knows? Maybe it was... a choice they made for whatever baffling reason. Okay, land there. Precise platforming. I will say with that time stop, it does make it very hard to tell whether or not a platform actually has like a glass bottom or not. Like that one that I'm about to land on clearly does because it's green. This one does not. But when everything's all sepia, what's what exactly? So let's get that jet pod to the right. Alright, land there. Still trying to think what I want to do for the live stream tonight. I'm halfway tempted to start a playthrough of Deep Fear, because that's a game I think very few people know about. Even though I did one for the Halloween one last year, I showed it off. I'm thinking about doing like a full playthrough because that's an interesting game, and that exists for such a bizarre reason. Like, you know, this popular thing exists. Oh, we're not getting it? Okay, well, let's make our own. And it'll be better, except it absolutely was not. But I also have a lot of really bad horror games I could play. Like that really terrible Alone in the Dark. And Bullet Witch. I haven't thought about Bullet Witch in forever, but I do own it. And Yaiba, which is the only Ninja Gaiden game I own physically, which is depressing for a lot of reasons. That game's also weird because, like, no one bought it. Like, my particular copy, like, GameStop was trying to sell it so hard, they gave it to me for free. And it has about 2 inches thick of repricing stickers that I've decided not to remove as a personal point, just to show how unwanted that game was. And then, I mean, I would like to do Parasite Eve at some point, but I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to get like a full playthrough of that done in the remaining time. That's a pretty long game from what I remember. So I think I'll probably hold off on that till next year, which means I gotta remember that, which means I'm not gonna remember that. I could do Hungry Ghosts again. That's a game that's pretty fun. Whoa! Okay, thanks there, frame rate. There we go. But yeah, just got a bunch of stuff I could do. I've got a huge list, and of course, if we just go for horror games in the sense that scary games are bad games, well, I've got a lot more. I could do Mighty Number 9. I've thought about it. I haven't played it since it came out. It's just, I don't remember anything about that game being fun. Oh my god, we're fighting our clone. I notice it's not shooting anything, though. So, like, unless it lands on us, what's it gonna do? Okay, so it shoots at little bunnies. This is kind of a neat fight. Also, landing on him does all the damage ever. Whoa, okay. I don't think I can do that. That's not fair. I don't get that super crazy dash move. I don't think. And you're dead because I stepped on you a whole bunch. Are you not entertained? For I'm the robot lunar bunny thingamabob. There can be only one. I guess we're on to the final level now. Alright, let's go. World 6-3. You know what's funny? Because, like, the second boss, you really couldn't jump on. It had pincers that would damage you, but no other boss seems to take advantage of just not letting you step on them. And stepping on them genuinely seems like the most effective strategy. Oh, those home in. That's great. That actually makes my life a lot easier. Alright, let's go. So you've basically done nothing to me, and I've axed half your health away. I hope you have a second phase, or this is going to be a real unimpressive fight. Like, I get that you got a lot of health, and that background's probably going to kill the bit rate, but... I mean, the everything in this game is probably going to kill the bit rate. Oh, hey, you took sectional damage, and now you're now just a head on feet? Okay. You keep doing that then, I guess. I'll just keep stepping on you. That seems like the beat the game strategy right there. Oh, those are things that are actually trying to attack me. That's fine, I got this. Woo! I mean, he's got a lot of health and he doesn't take a ton of damage, but he's not... What? Okay. I'm guessing you don't want to get hit by the, like, power shield he's got. Noted. The music is absolutely intense. Also, I think I killed him. Guess he got a second phase. Nope. I guess that was it. This is a weird final boss. Right on. Unless we save the universe city council mayor can thank us, or whatever.
You ain't down yet, Babu.
Their animations left a lot to be desired. I mean, their cutscenes were pretty much the same cutscene over and over and reshot slightly differently. And, like, their voice acting, aside from that bit, was basically just them filling a bar room with nonsense. This game is, interesting. It's not great, but this is definitely the game I bought a PS Classic for, and I have to admit, yeah, I'm happy I have this. That said, I'm absolutely gonna just mod this thing out so I can have everything on it. Just, not even because I need to, but just to make this terrible, terrible, terrible piece of tat Sony put out better. And also, I'm going to put the proper NTSC ROMs of this on here just so it'll play at a fair pace. But you know what? This was the game I was excited for. And while I'm sure that makes me the weirdo, because once again, I don't care about Final Fantasy VII in any real capacity, and Wild Arms is a much better game, I'm just saying, you know, this game did not disappoint. It's not a complex game. It's just a fun, weird little surrealist platformer, and I dig it. I think this game was actually very impressive. I liked when they took away the jumping in the big open spaces and put you in very tight, confined corridors. It actually reminded me a lot of my favorite level in the Blue Destiny games. So yeah, this game was a lot of fun. I might have to review this in the near future. I mean, I've got all the footage, I might as well. But yeah, so that's been Jumping Flash. Pretty solid game on a console that is, as I said at the start, a bit crap. But hopefully I can make this a little bit less crap in the future, and maybe we'll take a look at Jumping Flash 2 in the near future. I don't think we can do Jumping Flash 3 as much as I would like, because I do think that is integrated into the Pocket Station. It's been forever since I played it, though. I can't quite remember. Yeah, I would say that this is kind of basically what Bubsy 3D probably aspired to be. At least in the sense it was a good game, but I mean, the fact that they wanted to make another game with Bubsy was already a sign it was going to be bad to begin with, because Bubsy was bad to begin with. I mean, we're talking about a character that wanted to have its own TV show and couldn't hold itself past its own pilot video. Seriously, that Bubsy animation is rough and annoying, and I really, really hope Rob Paulson got paid a lot for that, but, you know, Jumping Flash? pretty solid. I'm kind of surprised there aren't more of these games. Yeah, they're simple, but I kind of like it. And, yeah. Anyway, I think that will be it for now. I will be back later tonight with something for Halloween stream. I'm thinking Deep Fear. Just because I really do want to do a full playthrough of Deep Fear, so maybe we'll do that. Besides, I don't think too many people talk about Deep Fear. That's a game that should be talked about more, so maybe we'll do that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my look at this terrible, terrible, terrible piece of tat that Sony charged $100 for, and they couldn't even be asked to put the best playing versions of stuff on here. Like, seriously, how do they make a fighting game on here that plays at inconsistent frame rates? Like, again, I disagree with those Evo guys about a lot of things, especially involving accessibility, but, you know, fighting games do need to be played at a consistent frame rate. I can agree with this. Yeah, Sony really messed up this horrible thing, and it feels like just a cheap way to cash in with nostalgia that they didn't think too thoroughly about. But they at least include Jumping Flash, and Jumping Flash is fun. Just wish they put the NTSC version on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, follow the stream to know we go live, because we try and stream as often as possible. Streaming basically every other night this month for some Halloween streams, and like I said, probably going to be doing every night with, I guess, Deep Fear, if we're really going to go the angle of Deep Fear. Because that game's going to take a little while to beat, but that'll be a fun little horror romp. You might also want to check out and subscribe to my YouTube channel, see everything else I do, which is a lot of stuff. Just put out my review for Blue Stinger. Oh, God, that piece of garbage. Also, my what the hell is of 7th Cross Evolution, if you want to see a worse Dreamcast game than Blue Stinger. Because, wow, I'm going to have to make a full review of that at some point. And if you really want to make my day, check out the show's PayPal or Patreon. Support the show any way you can so that I can continue to do what I do to the best of my ability, which, in this case, is look at some awesome PlayStation games I really wanted to play on a thing that's filled with mostly tat, because Sony really did not give a shit when they made this thing. So I'm going to have to make a shit and make my thing better, just to spite them, really. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace out, Internet.